What's up, boys?
Hello.
Hello.
Yellow.
Yo.
Alex, no. You had so much more energy when we started this.
I did.
What has happened?
Well, now I'm focused on trying to get the screen up that I can see.
No one cares about the screen, man.
I'm waiting for it.
I want the energy.
I'm also
excited
trying
for
to
it.
see it.
Wait, so when you see the screen, you'll have a higher level of energy because you can see everybody else reacting?
I was
Yeah,
planning on having
Oh, okay.
a
All
better
right.
level.
What's up, boys? How's everybody doing?
I can't see the screen.
I still don't see it, though.
Yeah, I still
Guys.
don't see
Oh
it. Sorry.
I don't.
We
This is
started
just-
too early.
I don't even know what's going on. This is just disappointing.
I
Disappointing.
can't. If I can't see your beautiful face, Aaron, it's just not the
Boom.
same.
I don't know.
Boom.
What's
Boom.
up, boys?
Oh,
Hey.
I'll be excited. There he is.
Heck yeah.
Everybody, welcome back to the forecast.
Yeah. Man. Yes, absolutely. How's everybody doing? Good?
So good.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I've actually been doing really great.
Solid.
That's good. Good.
Wow.
Glad to hear
nice.
it.
I like 3 weeks ago now started going to the gym, so I'm feeling kind of good.
Just pure pumping, iron. Just
Yeah, I mean, if you want
Pure
this
pumping.
podcast to become something
Pure
else, I can
pumping,
go
baby.
through the workout routine.
Pure pumping. Iron.
Man, I'm pumped. I got
There
to
was a
leave
little bit of
work.
a pause there.
I got to leave work at 6 p.m. today.
Nice.
Wow.
That is impressively early for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is impressively depressing for me hearing you talk about that. I'm so sorry, Ben. I hope
Sorry, I
that
missed
I
the
hope
last
that
podcast, everybody. I was working till 9
Yeah.
that day.
Wow.
we appreciate your service, Ben. Are you drinking a
You're
old
just
fashioned
straight-
right now?
Drinking straight whiskey
No,
now.
this is just whiskey.
Yeah. Alex called it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Forecast, the bi-weekly podcast about everything games, film, and news. I'm Aaron Juno.
I'm Alex McCausland.
I'm Ben Diaz.
I'm Caleb Juno.
I am Chad McCausland.
No, I'm Jake Fetterkyle.
On today's episode, number 194, Silksong creators are rude, but we're still excited. Keanu Reeves lands his best role yet, and one of our favorite indie games of 2023 is getting a movie? Maybe. Plus, Ubisoft is being Ubisoft again, Final Fantasy is underperforming, and Cait is sad, and of course, we've been playing games. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you can follow us on our social channels, or you can check out our website, WHYBPL.com, where we have a ton of original content for you to browse through, including our multi-arc Starfinder adventure, Discord and Signal. You can also check out our YouTube, where we actually post most of our content instead of our website, where we post some of our content. Anyway, neither here nor there. Additionally, everything we talk about is in our cast notes, which is pushed out to whatever podcasting app you are using. Let's get into it, boys. I'm going to click
What?
the button. Are you ready? What?
Where
What?
in our notes is Kate is sad?
It's right here, and Cait is sad. I just
It's just
figured because
related
it's
to-
Final Fantasy underperforming, and Cait is sad because it's underperforming. I'm just like, I try to tie things in. Sometimes it doesn't.
I got it. No, I
I'm
get
sorry.
it. And
I'm
now that
sorry.
you've explained it, people
It's
who don't
bad.
get it now get it.
Bad. All right, let's actually podcast, shall we? Should we talk about some podcast related things?
4
That's a
seconds on
thing.
the clock.
It's a thing we do. Oh shoot, 4 seconds on the clock. People are gonna be like, why are there seconds on the clock? Let's turn off the clock. Clock's off.
I mean,
I got it, guys.
Maybe it's just points.
It could have
Yeah.
been 4 points. Could have been 4 points.
We as a group have 4 points.
Leading us off.
We earned those.
Leading us off the top, Chad, you want to take us into some CCCP?
Yeah, actually, so this question reminded me of something. So I'm actually going to move, since we only have one thing in stuff, I'm going to move that above CCCP real quick.
Oh.
So a couple things about Extra Life. We're starting early this year. There's some important dates. There's the Ignite Peer-to-Peer Leadership Conference, July 18th to the 21st. Really cool. It's here in KC. So that's Extra Life United. If you raise around like $250 and you're going for a KU medical, they will get you in for free.
Nice.
And I think it's like top 12 gets like a jersey or something like that. So I think it's competition with top 12 for the free and the jersey. So that's just a thing right now. Aaron and I have been recognized in an email already. We are second and third place. So that is really
Nice.
cool. Along with that, there is also for you D&D players, if you raise $100 right now, all the way up until April 30th, I believe it's April 30th, you can get a D20, an Extra Life D20. So that's something cool too to kind of work towards They're trying to give like a little bit more incentives this year. So that's all the important dates and doohickeys there. The question that was sent by Pixel Prowler is, what has been your favorite moment while participating in Extra Life over the years?
Ooh.
Man, that penguin game was pretty great, huh? Shut up.
Not as good as Dragon Ball Breakers.
That's true. That's true.
Also very good.
Man, best moment.
That's freaking tough, man.
That is so hard.
Sorry, go
ahead.
ahead.
No.
I was just
go
gonna
ahead.
say it's a random one. It's probably not actually the best, but it's the first one that came to my mind. I don't know if you guys remember. This was a few years ago, back when Overwatch was good. But it was like,
When was that?
we were literally. It must have been like 4:15. We have no time to start a new game, so we just jump into an Overwatch game, queue up, get into a game. Immediately, we all run out of spawn, jump off a cliff, and disconnect. And that was how we ended the 24-hour stream.
I forgot
Really
about
good.
Yeah.
Just like the stupidest thing we could have done. The other people probably were just like, "What?
Yeah.
What happened?" But stuck with me.
That's a good
That's
one.
good.
I really like anytime I can get everybody to do one of my stupid elaborate mods or something. So like maybe like the Left 4 Dead thing,
Okay, yeah,
where
that was
like
cool.
you just like break a game entirely and make it do things you're not supposed to. Get like 8 people inside of a Left 4 Dead map. Go crazy.
I'm probably gonna get some hate for this, but I really, really loved when we got a really big game of Among Us going. That was very entertaining.
I thought for sure you were going to say when you played Sonic Adventure 2.
I mean, that was just objectively the best thing that's ever been done. I didn't feel like it was worth mentioning. Listen, I got a viewer, so like,
Heck yeah.
There it is.
basically, I'm pulling in all of our viewers now.
Honestly, I think it is you. You're what bring people to this podcast. So don't leave us, please.
Amen.
Please. Don't leave.
It's my Sonic Adventure 2 and Kingdoms of Amalur content. That's what they come here for.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got Aaron and Caleb, and I guess Ben, was Sonic your answer?
No, it was Among Us.
Oh, Among Us. Okay, cool.
I
Aaron and Caleb.
I think my favorite thing, it's been a thing that we've done a couple years. We don't do it anymore, but it's when we play the hidden, the mod.
Yeah, I really
Doors
like
mod.
playing the hidden.
For some reason, that game is like pure chaos. I love, because you're all on the same channel, just
When
the
it
person
works.
who's hidden is not really talking right, and the game is just so chaotic, and bullets are firing everywhere. People have no idea where the enemy is. It's just so fun. I really enjoy that game.
I think I've played that one.
It's something.
That was going to be one of mine. Dang it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal it.
Alex mentioned mods, and I was like, yeah, the hidden whistle. I don't know, man.
Well, you can wait. You can keep pondering. I'll answer. I think mine's kind of it's twofold. One of them is just like, I think golf with your friends is just a staple now,
That
and
is
like
real good.
when we found that game and like tried it and made it a tradition, it's really cool. Also, the fact that we're just like coming up with traditions for our Extra Life stuff,
Yeah.
like scary game in the beginning, and then golf at the end. It's like really cool. But then also just how it's just grown in general. How it started with like little groups, and then it just keeps expanding. And you know, we actually like sit down and plan like weeks in advance to make sure that we get everything out good. And cool stuff.
Fun fact: golf with your friends. Video game published by Team 17.
Oh,
Nice.
Kidding me?
Nice.
people listening to the podcast are gonna be like, "How does that have any
Yeah,
relation to
why
me?
are
That's
they
cool."
bringing that
Oh yeah, I forgot.
All right, I'll say I love that Human Fall Flat has a new map for us every year somehow.
Every time.
That is funny.
Since the
That's
beginning,
good.
there's always a new
chaos.
map,
Yeah.
and it's always fun to just brute force those with everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, we don't even play the map. We're
Not
like,
really.
are there things we can, like, ledges we can hug,
Yeah.
things we can just like climb up with our arms? We throw each other somehow. That game
It's usually like half the group trying to do it properly and half the group just finding some weird wonky way.
Yeah, no greater joy than hearing the people try to figure it out and you just go, oh, I'm over, I made it.
Yeah, and then everybody leaps to their death to get to the other side.
Man, it's good stuff.
Well, that was
okay.
the CCCP. That's Community Conversation Primer.
Nice.
Yes, not to be confused with anything else, CCCP. Anyway, on to some news-related things. Let's talk real quick about some rude Silksong boys, because there are some rude Silksong boys out there who are upsetting some people.
Last podcast, I had a lot of things to say about Silksong, and maybe it's coming out soon. And one of the more outrageous things was like this elaborate ARG that was kind of unfolding among Silksong content creators. And they came out like a few days later and were like, guys, it's not related to Silksong. So I'm sorry, we didn't do it.
Messed up
for that
man.
reason. And it's like at the same time as all this other stuff's happening with like the game being rated in a bunch of countries and everything. So just
Speaking
rude.
of, I think just today or yesterday it got rated in Australia.
Exciting.
One more to add to the list.
Yep, it's coming out tomorrow. That's what that means.
What did they rate it, like 8 out of 10 or?
That's a good question. I didn't see the number.
Probably
in
rated X.
addition to that,
Australia.
Literally any like press conference or like announcement reel that is coming up, everybody's like, what if Silksong's at it? So like Nintendo has a thing, they're like, oh man, what if Silksong's there? Like obviously they're not going to be doing it at the Nintendo thing, guys. But
why would it be there?
The Triple I Initiative, which is a relatively new group, I think, focusing on indie games.
Inaugural year.
Yeah, so they had like an hour-long presentation just announcing new stuff. One of their like loading screen little blurbs popped up and said, what's the name of this a highly anticipated Metroidvania with an insect again? It looks really cool. This is after people were already spreading rumors like maybe Silksong was going to be a triple I. And then they had this appear on screen before their presentation. And then also at the end of the presentation, they're like, oh, we got one more thing to show you. And then it was like some farming game. This is so rude.
Whoa, hold on. What farming game? I need details on that.
My time in Porsche.
Listen, love my farming games.
There's like probably no less than like 10 of them in that presentation. So I mean, it's like half of all indie games at this point.
Yeah.
So
Jake, did you just make a My Time in Porsche?
Of course I did. Yeah.
Just checking. All right. Got it.
We
Cool.
we gotta pepper those references throughout the podcast so no one knows. That way they have to go listen to our other content to know what the fuck we're talking about.
For sure.
So yeah, people were highly upset with them, and then they wanted to like protest against them, but not be like mean or like typical gamer outrage where people are doing death threats or stuff. So they're like, all right, we're gonna go like harass them on Twitter, but you can only say skong. That's all you can say. Yeah, so it's just like a wall of people saying skong like underneath all their tweets. So it's kind of like a harmless outrage, but it was kind of fun.
Well, I mean, that's not the only thing you can outrage against right now. You could also spend your time outraging against old you. What, Caleb? Are you going to literally
We're
just
talking
demolish?
about the Triple I Initiative. We should probably mention some of the announcements from the Triple I Initiative.
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. Derail us. Derail us. Thank you.
That was a perfect segue.
I figured we were talking about them, but we just moved on. There were a couple new games announced during it. Notably, notably, there's a game coming out called the Rogue Prince of Persia, which is partly being worked on by the Dead Cells developer. It's going to be a roguelike Prince of Persia game, 2D action. It looks pretty cool. Weird art style looks really interesting. And then, more importantly, they officially announced Slay the Spire 2.
Oh yeah,
which I think we kind of knew about that based on the stuff that happened with Unity. I think those developers like mentioned they were moving their development to Godot.
I didn't think it would be Slay the Spire 2. I thought they were going to do something different, but turns out just Slay the Spire 2.
Yeah,
on Godot this time.
Yeah, I was interested to hear that they actually followed through with that. I thought they might walk it back after Unity kind of walked back their stuff. But they stuck to their guns. I mean,
a lot of people did.
Good on them.
Yeah.
Fuck Unity.
Yeah, you can yell at Unity. You know who else you can yell at? You can yell at Ubisoft.
There it is.
However you
We
want to
did it.
say their name. Feel free to yell at them because they're dumb. And they're all dumb because I'm assuming you're going to talk about Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, they did 2 things actually in the news
there's 2
recently.
things.
So everyone's upset. They announced their new Star Wars game, and then people looked at the pricing, and for the pre-order, they have one tier that's $130
Oh,
for the Star Wars game. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's honestly just ridiculous. A lot of people got bent out of shape. It's not surprising. Ubisoft has done this so many times.
Is it another one where they said the base price of the game is $70 now?
Yep. Of course. 70. Then you can get the gold edition for 110 or the ultimate edition for 130. I think one thing I don't know why you get 3 days early access to the game, and I think that's such a freaking stupid bonus.
Yeah.
Because it's like the game's gonna be broken when it comes out, and now it's just gonna be even more brokener.
Yeah,
Like I guess FOMO in some segments of the gaming community is that bad that you're willing to pay like twice as much to get a little early access, but I think it's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was a little upset when I bought the whatever edition of Starfield and played before everybody else, and that game turned out the way that it did because I was so pumped for it. I did.
Oh, my sweet child, I'm so sorry.
I know.
He couldn't.
You
have
live, you
known.
learn.
Yeah, man.
He couldn't
I'm
have known.
So sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other thing that they did, the thing that I think is way worse, so Ubisoft made the racing game The Crew.
Oh, this.
Yes, they delisted the game, shut down the servers, which, like, okay, whatever, it's an older game. But what they also did was they started revoking people's licenses, so people who have the game just don't have the game anymore.
What?
Like, you paid for it, but guess what? Ubisoft says, no, you don't, and they just took it back.
They already hinted at this. They said that you have to be comfortable with not owning your digital games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm not. That's
I'm not
fucking
comfortable
horseshit.
with that.
That's insane.
I can't even fathom why you would want to do this. Like, what's the upside for Ubisoft to do this?
Yeah.
I don't
idea.
know. Like, they're not paying for servers anymore, and they already delisted it, so it's not a music licensing thing.
Those servers can't possibly be, all of that can't possibly be so expensive that it's worth the bad PR for them to de-license all of these people playing this game.
Do you really need a server to play just single player? Like,
I mean,
in a lot of
it seems
games
like
now you do.
extra effort to go take it back from people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing,
Yeah.
right? I think,
And it's no longer costing them money after shutting down everything.
yeah, it's almost like a petty move. Like, fuck you, we're taking it back. Like, I almost
They're
wonder if they
vaulting the
did it.
content.
Yeah, right, to, like,
Heck
set
yeah.
a precedent.
I would assume a game as old as The Crew, you'd be able to play offline mode or something. So it's weird that they're
Yeah.
revoking that kind
Yeah.
of game.
Right,
Like, it
what-
makes sense, like a always online game. The servers go down. Well, okay, I don't have access to that game anymore.
But even
Like all the
still,
BRs that kind of
Maybe-
flop. It's like I don't get to play the BRs anymore because nobody's playing them. So
but like, why take away your ownership of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the servers are down. You can boot up. Like last year, I have a copy of last year sitting in my Steam inventory right now.
yeah,
For the longest time, it was
Maybe-
just unplayable.
I think I also have it on Discord.
Maybe this is like a really 200 IQ move for promoting Skull and Bones, because by removing licenses, they're promoting pirating.
You have to
and you have to
pirate it.
pirate
Wow.
games,
That's
then you
smart.
start thinking about
Wow.
pirates, and you're like, Skull and Bones!
I
Skull
mean-
and Bones, quadruple A.
I was going to say, how do you get the quadruple A? You revoke licenses. Duh.
To go along with their like you need to be comfortable not owning the games that you play thing, their subscription service, their $18 a month thing, you get like the full fat version of that Star Wars game if you sign up for
Yeah.
that.
That is
Of course
true.
you do.
That's what they want.
So they
for sure.
made it insanely expensive to try to push people to just sign up for the the relatively cheap subscription.
Yeah, if you look at
Yeah.
like those stupid charts that show what you get in every version, the very last column is or you could pay $18 a month and get Ubisoft Special Edition, whatever.
This is the same-
Stupid.
I mean, we bring this up on occasion on this cast about how this is the same thing. We're starting to see the beginnings of like the streaming wars for video games, where you subscribe to a service and you get access to like a very specific subset of games. And there's just too many services to subscribe to, similar to how you're like, well, I got Netflix, I got Hulu, I got Apple TV Plus, I got Paramount Plus, there's like 30 of them now. So
Yeah.
it's annoying.
It's really just Ubisoft being bad about it right now, though.
I know, but they set
Because like
precedent.
even like EA has their own service, but it's rolled into Game Pass. So You
But
get
here's
that
the
along
thing.
with Game Pass.
If you have one bad guy, right, who's taking all of the heat, then you can just roll in as these other subscription services and be like, well, Ubisoft did it. I didn't really see a problem with that. I want people to subscribe to our service.
Horizon Plus.
Yeah. Get extra content.
I want to
Get
bring up one
V-Gig
thing
3
that's
days early.
semi off topic, but it has something to do with Star Wars. I brought this up with you in person, Aaron, but why is it that when it comes to animation and transferring real life people into media, you have somebody like Cal Kestis who looks phenomenal, like it looks 1-to-1 with the male actor, but then you have what is it, Kay Vess, which just looks like an abomination compared to her actor. Like, what's going on with the animation there, guys?
Good question. We can't do it correctly. Yeah, Ubisoft is the answer.
I mean, I guess who made Cal
Respawn.
Kestis? Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Respawn.
you're right.
Respawn good.
Yeah.
Respawn good. I mean, look at Cal Kestis. Look at what's his name? It's Cameron Morgan, Monaghan, something like that. Perfect, identical, great, fantastic. Gosh, learn from them.
Now, do you guys think that Ubisoft is doing this primarily to just, are they like setting these high price points because they're like, we need more money because we're like
I'll give it to you
potentially going to
straight.
start laying people off?
You want me to tell you? You want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Because they tried to cash in with a BR, they failed.
I failed. So they're trying to recoup some money instead
Exactly.
of having to lay people
And
off.
so, in order to recoup money, they have to revoke licenses.
Yeah. Maybe they're gonna sell those licenses secondhand. Maybe that's what's happening.
Black
Yeah,
market.
they go- Just
Yeah.
give them all to G2A and be like, listen.
Listen,
We'll sell
don't
these
ask where
to
we
you.
got these.
Yeah.
Are you? Is this just you still being upset about Hyperscape? I just got that.
Oh, maybe.
No.
You know
How's
what
it, man?
peak gaming was for me, Alex?
yeah, here we go.
Hyperscape.
At least it wasn't Hyenas, dude.
Hmm.
Canceled before it even released. Most expensive game that Sega's ever made.
Canceled before it was released.
Insane.
But was that that was Cliffy B, right?
No, you're
No,
thinking of
different game that was
Lawbreakers.
canceled before it released.
Yeah.
Good
Lawbreakers?
old Lawbreakers.
Oh, never mind. There's like a fan effort
Yeah.
to get the servers back online.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Come on, it's coming back, baby.
finally.
So,
Endorsed by Cliffy B.
I think Ubisoft has recently made additional cuts. I could be wrong about this. Additional layoffs, but I don't know.
They're one of them.
Okay, there's one of them. Even though
they're
they're
one of
charging
the
$130 for the gold tier of Star Wars, the new Star Wars game.
Not enough people bought it.
That's true.
I just wanted to. It's been a while since we revisited layoffs in the game industry, and it's still going on. So, wanted to give a quick update.
Yeah.
Remind you, last year in 2023, we had about 10,500 jobs lost. So far in 2024, the new updated number is about 8,800.
Okay.
Almost caught up.
Yeah. So a couple of the bigger ones, you mentioned Ubisoft. They had cuts last year. They have now decided they're closing their Korean-based stuff. And they, in addition to that, cut like 45 other positions outside of Korea. Some other bigger studios that I recognized, Eidos Montreal, they cut like 97 people. PlayStation, I don't know if we mentioned the PlayStation Studios cuts a while back, but they cut like 900 people.
Dang.
Deck 9 cut about 25. That's the Life is Strange people. EA cut about 670 people. 505 Games, we don't have exact numbers for them, but it's about 30% is what they're cutting. Some of the bigger ones. In addition to all those are like the bigger ones. There's since I last talked about this, about 60 companies that I saw listed that have cut some amount of games industry jobs. So,
do you think it's going to plateau though? Like, I know we talk about the number from 2023, which is 10,000. Right now we're at 8,800, so it feels like we've been ramping up really quick.
They'll eventually run out of employees. So.
Yeah. At some point, it has to.
it has to
Yeah.
stop.
Good point. Well, I mean, on top of the layoffs, right? Like we've seen a lot of game cancellations too. That's also happening. One of which is the Dead Space 2 remake, which is not happening. And that I think is primarily from low sales from their first remake, if I'm correct.
Honestly, I think it's just EA loves canceling Dead Space so much that they revitalized it just to cancel it a second time.
I mean, it's in the name, right?
Yeah.
It's just Dead Space, you know?
I love the first one. I really wanted to play the second one remade.
Welcome to like
You can go play
2010, my guy.
Yeah, no.
old second one.
Yeah,
I think-
I'm gonna have to at some point.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if it's any consolation, I think the general consensus is that those games get worse as they go on. Like the first one's the best one, and then
I think a lot of people consider the second one to be the best one.
is 2 better?
Mhm.
3's
That is,
not.
I've actually
People
not
don't like
played
3
the
though,
second
right?
one. Yeah,
that's what
3
made
they
Travis
decided to make
quit
a co-op
gaming.
shooter.
Yeah, okay.
The third one?
Yeah, the third one's a co-op shooter.
The last thing that I co-opted with Travis was Dead Space 3, and then he stopped
Before
gaming.
Travis
Wow.
dropped off the face of the planet.
Never forgetting.
So probably don't touch Dead Space 3. I feel like it might cripple your gaming career. I don't know.
Man.
I once played
Crumbs.
there's a Wii Dead Space game that's a rail shooter.
Excuse
that with Frank.
me?
That's
How come
co-op.
they're not remaking that?
Actually, so one of the things that's come up multiple times while I've been building VGig is I will see like all of the release platforms, and regularly there is a game that is similar in title to the game that I'm looking at, but it's just a Wii version that's been converted to a rail shooter of some first-person shooter game is now a rail shooter. I'm like,
They
all
really
right.
liked doing that for a while.
I don't know. It's weird.
You gotta make something on the Wii. What's the Wii good at? It's good at pointing at stuff. All right.
That's right. So the Dead Space 2 remake is canceled, shelved. Maybe, hopefully, maybe it'll come back out at some point. Maybe
They'll remake the first one and then cancel it for a
You
third
cancel it
time.
again. Also underperforming is Final Fantasy Rebirth. Is this by like considerable amount, or they're like just barely not hitting their numbers?
So, I think it's kind of misleading. The Forbes article reads, Analyst, PS5's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is selling half of what Remake did. So, let's just think about this for a second, right? Remake is the first game in the series. Rebirth is the second game in the series. Remake came out when like COVID like first hit. So like those numbers gotta be like skyrocketing. Also, it's like the first in the Final Fantasy VII, trilogy that they're remaking that like everybody was like, oh my god, Final Fantasy VII is like the best. So like I don't know. Also, I think if I'm not mistaken, this could be fact checked and removed in post. Isn't Final Fantasy VII Rebirth
we do that all the
only
time.
PS5?
It is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's also hurting the numbers probably because Remake was for both systems, as far as I know. Once again, you can remember them both.
It was also exclusive when it first came out.
Okay,
They did a PC later.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's I feel like also a second in a series when people are like, oh, there's gonna be a 3. Like they're not gonna like jump to buy it immediately until like maybe they get closer to that third one coming out. So
True.
And this isn't just newly fanboy talking. I feel like there's a couple statistics here that are like, yeah, it's underperforming by what Remake did because Remake was the first in the series. So it makes sense, in my opinion.
I mean, you probably lose some players who either didn't finish the first one because it's a long game, right? The first, like, what's a time to beat on that? Not completionist, but if you're just gonna main
Remake
story,
or Rebirth?
whatever the first one is,
Remake.
remake.
It was like
32.5 hours,
Yeah,
according to how long
32.
to beat.
Okay, so maybe not incredibly long, but 30 to 30 hours. So maybe you lose a percentage of people who didn't finish the first one. They're like, I'm not going to get the second one because I haven't finished the first one. You also probably don't have as many sales, like you said, because the first one came out as during COVID. People are stuck in their house. I'm buying freaking video games. I'm not buying anything else. I'm going to buy video games. And now we're like, hey, we can go outside. It's been a while since then.
I wonder if
So-
this article goes into it because I haven't read all of it, but I read kind of some of it. There's also a remake and rebirth package you can buy. So I wonder if that goes into the sale values of remake, or if that kind of because you're buying the bundle, it doesn't really.
Also, if it's talking lifetime sales, Remake has been out for a long frickin' time, and Rebirth has been out for
right?
like a month.
It says half of what remakes sold in the same time frame.
Same time frame. Okay.
Oh, that's quite a bit. Half. All right, sure. Well, maybe who knows? Maybe it just is going to take time on this one. People will buy it over time and we'll eventually get there, but
I also think we're coming off of like an extraordinary year for gaming, right?
Sure.
And so like people are probably still chugging along in the various different games that they, look at our game of the year list, for instance. That, but then also I don't know, I think it's heavily influenced by, oh, there's going to be a third, I'll just wait kind of thing. Like, why bother if this is going to take 3 to 5 years to develop the third one? Why bother playing this one right now?
Yeah.
Strong point. I've thought about it.
You've thought about
we got
it
it because we got to talk about it on the Game of the Year cast.
Yeah.
Thought about it, and your conclusion is strong point.
Gotta play it this year at some point still.
I wanted to ask Alex about this backdoor for this thing that's going on with Linux. Is it Ubuntu specifically? Linux?
It's like it's like all Linux, pretty much.
All Linux.
Pretty much all Linux. So I thought this was really interesting, which is why I wanted to bring it up. There's a backdoor for a utility on most Linux systems called XZ utils, which is basically compression software.
Yeah, it's just the zip stuff that everybody uses.
Yeah, basically everything uses it in Linux world. And that's like most of the internet runs on that, I guess you could say, and like most embedded systems in the world, so like billions of devices, just like most things you would be able to get into if you had a backdoor into this. And it was discovered because this one Microsoft engineer noticed that there was like a slight performance degradation on SSH logins after this update. And I guess dude was just stubborn and wanted to know why, that there was like slightly too many CPU cycles being used on SSH logins, and he eventually found that it stemmed from an update in XC utils, and then digging into why that happened, found this backdoor that had been planted. And it's a really interesting like social engineering attack that happened, because it is an open source piece of software. And basically at this point we've traced it back to 2021. There was a user that like joined their project to submit code, and just like over time garnered respect in that community and made like actual like commits to the project that helped it, move along. Then at one point they have backtraced, like there's these people engaging in discussion on like the GitHub and stuff like that, saying like the project maintainer is too slow and they have to be like making commits quicker, and kind of like a bunch of these people start coming in and like complaining about like the speed of the project, which got this guy that had been working more rights to do more things in the project. And they basically started slowly over time underneath other commits putting in pieces of this backdoor, and then got to the point where they were like high enough in the hierarchy that there's this thing called OSS fuzz, which I guess I don't really know what it is, but it's for fuzz testing. It tests against open source software, which is just like it uncovers programming errors and stuff like that. And it's like the service that you sign up for, you point it towards your project and say, just, test this whenever there's a new build or whatever. And he got to the point where he went in and changed the project maintainer's info for OSS fuzz, and then requested OSS fuzz to disable this one function against their project, which is like, I guess a thing you could do, like if you're like, oh, that part's not going to matter for our project, you can turn that off. And it's like your project, so like why would you be trying to do something nefarious with that? So he turned off the part that would detect his nefarious actions, and
wild
enabled this backdoor into this compression utility. And it got all the way to the point where it was rolled out to like early unstable beta builds of like Red Hat and Debian and stuff like that. So it's like 1 or 2 updates away from being rolled out into like everything that you've ever encountered in the world of the internet. And I guess the actual hack is somehow XZ utils interfaces with the system daemon, and then that interfaces with the SSH executable, and makes it so that you could pass code through your SSH login certificate and have it executed if you have the correct private key, which the attacker would have.
Right. Which presumably means they could run almost anything on any computer that's running Linux.
Yeah. And it was to the point where it was like basically undetectable and almost rolled out to everybody. And it was almost very, very bad. So, I mean, at this point, there's speculation that it was probably some sort of nation state that was trying to do this attack. And they invested a lot of time and resources into, you know, slowly trying to roll this out.
I mean,
That's
almost
really
3 years, right?
Yeah.
That's really frustrating because this is probably going to cause a lot of open source software to catch a lot of flack now.
Yeah.
At least for a bit. People are going to be talking shit
People
about it
are already
quite a while,
calling for like, we need tighter regulation on open source software stuff, and
which is kind of an oxymoron, I think.
yeah. It's weird. I mean, it makes you think of like, are there other ones out there that did go unnoticed? Or
Sure.
you know,
Possibly. I mean, I don't know.
it's just crazy, like the scale that this would have affected if it actually made it through.
It's nuts.
Pretty wild. One thing I wanted to kind of bring to kind of transition us into this, Apple has recently allowed emulators back onto the App Store. And I think one of the reasons they've done this is they've seen some pressure, because there's a lot of places like in the EU where people are looking for workarounds. The only place you can really get it is on an Android device. If you want to play an emulator, that's like there's only a couple emulators left on Android devices. You can still get one. But Apple has long been a proponent of, we're not going to do this. We're not going to allow emulators on the store. And now, all of a sudden, Ben, they've decided to let them back on the store, correct?
Yeah, so basically they announced that they were going to make some changes to actually allow emulators, game emulation apps onto the Apple Store, which is crazy to me, just because I remember, like, long time ago, get my first little iPod Touch and learning how to jailbreak it so I could put emulators on it. And that's like the whole reason I learned how to jailbreak it. And then when I got my iPhone 4S for the first time, I jailbroke that so I could put emulators on it. And it's crazy to me that they're finally approving this, being allowed to be used. It's pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. It's just kind of wild to me. Although, interestingly, they did ban the very first one that got put onto the store, which is pretty funny. Although
That's so funny.
I did see that Apple said that they must comply with, quote, all applicable laws, just so that they can ban anything that provides like a pirated title or would provide a pirated title.
Well, this one in particular got banned because basically there was somebody released an app for iPhones, but you could only install it if you were jailbroken. But they released an emulator like 10 years ago, and it was basically some dude like in high school made it, and it was kind of like basic. And as soon as Apple said that they'd allow emulators, somebody basically copy-pasted it and then republished it. And then the guy who made that like 10 years ago in high school was really annoyed about it and basically actively complained, because apparently he's been trying to get a like very nice, up-to-date, like actually impressively improved emulator released on the Apple Store, and it's been stuck there forever, like in like approval process. And he's like, oh, okay, you don't want to approve my app, but you'll approve this app that like somebody just copy pasted my high school work. I see how it is. They banned it pretty quickly for like stealing IP, basically. But it's what's up?
No, I was just going to say I did find it interesting because alongside of this, they also went through the process of looking at like super apps like WeChat, and they've set a new policy so that any in-app game, mini games and mini apps inside that app have to be run on HTML5 now and can't be just like a native app within that application. So I think they're really kind of like I mean, they're like opening the door for people to provide things like emulators, but they're also kind of tightening the restrictions down on how they can be on the store. I don't know that we'll actually see many things pop up. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think this is a lot of people are speculating this is directly related to all of the there's an antitrust lawsuit that's being filed in the US right now, which is accusing Apple of trying to stop cloud game streaming apps and stuff from being allowed on their app store. And a lot of people have suspicion that this is related.
Antitrust lawsuits against Apple? That's bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Okay, a couple things in film realm. I did want to talk about one of our favorite indie games from 2023, which was Dredge. It made it in our top 10. There is an announcement about a movie.
Yeah, there's very little information so far. But basically, they just announced that the developers for Dredge are going to be working with a company called Story Kitchen, who I believe worked on the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, to make a Dredge movie. And they've really said nothing about what it's gonna be, because it feels like a weird game to turn into a movie. I feel like, but
I feel like I could definitely see an interesting movie based around Dredge, like the setting and like the slowly like figuring out what's going on. Like I could definitely see a good movie based on it.
I feel like any Lovecraft things they've tried recently have not worked very well in film and TV. I don't know.
What are you thinking of?
Like they had Lovecraft Country, and there was a movie I can't remember now.
That was Lovecraftian,
huh? I mean, didn't they did the
Sonic
the color one? No, the color one.
Out of Space.
The Color Out of Space.
Yeah.
Is that recent?
2019.
I mean, a few years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think it did very well either.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog, he's literally going to encounter his shadow self in the next one, guys. It's Lovecraftian.
This does
Keanu's
bring up
playing Shadow.
Yeah, Keanu's gonna be Shadow.
There you go.
Sonic 3.
Goddamn right.
I find this so funny.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to picture like Shadow and just Keanu talking and just all the things that Keanu have been in recently, like Cyberpunk or John Wick. It's just like Shadow, like yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine Keanu saying, "Baker, you're the fake hedgehog here."
That's
It's
really good.
movie. I'm
Yeah,
so
great.
excited.
I just
now.
hope that he doesn't like get rid of his persona of Johnny from Cyberpunk and he just brings it over to Shadow. That'd be so funny.
Yeah.
Probably watch those movies, huh?
Does anybody like those movies? Because I really like them, actually.
I've been meaning to watch them. They look good.
They're
They look very
really
entertaining.
cheesy and not like. I mean, you have to know what you're getting into. You have to go in expecting exactly what like. It's not going to be like a super top tier film, but they're enjoyable. I really like them.
They're fun.
And James Marsden, he's just great. Yeah. It's really good.
Ben Schwartz kills Sonic. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
He kills?
Yeah. It's like a
really
Sonic
takes
thing.
some
sure.
liberties.
For sure.
It's like Pooh, Blood and Honey. Like this is a very similar vein of a film.
I see.
Yeah.
I think the most notable thing about Sonic movies is how they went back to the drawing board and they didn't release Sonic as the monstrosity that they first came out with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember how
like,
scary
why?
that was?
Really
Yeah, it
impressive
was-
that they
what are
went
you
back.
doing?
It was
That
so
actually
bad.
was a Sonic Blood and Honey
Yeah.
universe.
That would have been a great horror movie.
Oh man, those teeth.
Still conspiracy theories that was never the plan.
They just
And
did
it
it
was
for
like for
PR purposes.
publicity. Yeah.
heck,
Wow.
yeah.
I
okay
think
with
that
that.
gives executives too much credit. I think they were like, "This is great. Put it
Yeah.
out there."
Yeah. I'm almost positive that it was internet backlash that made them go back to the drawing board. There's no way. They probably thought that was with the state at which video game shows and movies were coming out and how bad they were when this original Sonic came out. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and now looking at today's, you know, kind of platform of all of the media from video games to, you know, the adaptations and how they're so much better. But it's good stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been some absolutely epic and excellent game to movie adaptations, like Assassin's Creed. Do you guys remember how good that was?
Is that Michael Fassbender? Is he in
Michael
there?
Fassbender, man, that was so good.
You bring it up like every third podcast.
I have to. It's I love it.
Because it's so good.
It's just a beloved film. At some point, I think I'm just gaslighting myself into thinking that I like that film. Someday, we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to be serious. I'm like, dude, Assassin's Creed's like the best video game movie I've ever seen. You guys are going to be very confused.
We're gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
And you're like, what? We've been saying it for years. I don't know why you're confused.
I love it. I play Kingdoms of Amalur the entire time I'm watching it. It's just great. I love just excellent content. Sorry, Ben. I see you staring at the camera right now. I did get his attention. Speaking of video games and film, though, we should talk for a second.
He just leaves.
Bye, Ben.
I am still here.
Yeah. We should talk real quick about Fallout, because that's out. Is the whole season out, or is it just part of it?
It is the entire season.
Okay. Did it drop all at once?
Renewed for a second season already.
Nice.
So, yeah, I think it did drop. I mean, I watched it all the way through pretty much. So, good. I think without spoiling anything, it's very gamified, like right out the gate, which is really cool. Kind of seeing the lines that they draw between movie, but then also like video game, where it's like finding items and stuff like that. When the character gets introduced, they go over kind of all of their hobbies and stuff like that. You're like, oh, these are her stats. That's cool. So, yeah, and then there's just, I mean, if you know the lore of Fallout, or if you played Fallout, it's like heavy into that, and it's cool. It's cool. Show. There's a lot of, for people like me who I semi new lore of Fallout, and like I've had friends in the past like really explain like the vaults and stuff like that to me, and I thought it was like super cool, but I could never get into the gameplay. Watching this show, there was that kind of mysteriousness of like, okay, what's unfolding, what's going on, and I think that's really cool for people who've not experienced Fallout, while other people are just jamming to the nice, you know, soundtrack. The people who know the lore and the craziness and the weirdness, and they're not shocked by anything going on. They're just like, yeah, the soundtrack's good.
The only way I'll watch this show is if they go into vats when they're going to shoot something.
Doesn't sound like they do vets.
Maybe just something like it. We'll see, I guess. Okay, it's currently sitting at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, damn.
Pretty good.
I do want to say one thing.
Up there with Assassin's Creed, right?
You know, what's Assassin's Creed at?
You know what?
Is it as high as Twisted Metal, though?
Oh.
I get heavy, and Ben, you've seen it, right?
The show?
Yeah.
No.
No. Who here has... Nobody's seen it here? It's just
I
me?
think just you.
Mm-hmm.
How is this possible?
It did like just come out.
Right. A couple characters in this show give me heavy Star Wars vibes from like 7, 8, 9. So it's interesting there.
Is that a compliment or?
I mean, it's not
Neither.
like it's the bad parts of Star Wars, but it's basically like if you showed me side by side Star Wars and this, I would be like, oh, since Star Wars came first, this character is Finn. Like, period. Like,
Gotcha.
For what it's worth, Assassin's Creed is at an 18%. I think it's a highly underrated film. And Twisted Metal is at a 67%.
Wow.
Oh,
that's
two
dropped.
away.
Yeah.
It has dropped. It has dropped.
It was high 80s at least.
It
when
was, which
first-
was scary.
Which is insane. I don't understand how that could have happened.
who's the
Okay.
producer for the studio for Assassin's Creed?
Oh, good question. Let me look. Looks like 20th Century.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 20th Century Fox.
Interesting.
Last but not least, where's Caitlin at when you near? Last but not least. That's a good name. That's a good name for our trivia group. Last but not least.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday. All right. But not next Thursday, actually. I can't go next Thursday now, it turns out. So it's I know.
You told me every other Thursday, and now you backed out twice.
I know.
No,
I forgot, yeah. Last thing I wanted to talk about in film is that Sony is reportedly in talks to buy Paramount, a little shuffle of, I don't know, streaming services and organizations that publish and make films. Why, though? Why? Why are they doing this?
You got the title. That's about it. We're very prompt with news here at the forecast, the horizon. And so an hour ago this was tweeted. Well, 2 hours ago this was tweeted, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" And then I put it in the cast notes.
Okay.
Yep. So go ahead and look into it. Sony Pictures reportedly talks. Like, why Sony Pictures though?
Is it because Sony has a ton of money and doesn't know how to make a good movie?
Because everybody always wants to become a bigger company.
You always got to make money for those shareholders.
Everybody's got to become the one mega corporation that controls all media.
Well, it looks like they're trying to work with another group to buy them. A joint.
It's a management group. It's probably some sort of like giant hedge fund management group that's like, we need to invest some money.
Mm-hmm.
Cool stuff. Okay, video games, because that's what we really want to talk about. Remnant 2 has a second DLC.
Yeah.
There was
a
first DLC?
coming out? Yeah, there was a first DLC.
Aaron, when are we going to play this game?
The second DLC, The Forgotten Kingdom, which is taking place in Yesha, which is like the foresty planet, is coming out April 23rd. So, like a week.
Was that a surprise?
No. We've known
they
since the
announced
beginning
it like
that
a
they're
week
have,
ago.
Yeah, we've known since the beginning there's going to be 3 DLC, but they did
Okay.
only recently actually announce it.
Got it.
They also announced the new archetype, the Invoker, who's all about using skills. They didn't have an archetype focused on skills before now. So
Boss Wax and Exhort.
Yeah, good skills. Make meteor.
wow.
And then you combine them, and then like you go invisible.
Tornado. Yeah, Ghost Walk.
We're doing a
Cold Snap.
Dota.
Dado Step.
Yeah,
Cold
it's a
Snap.
Dota.
It's good. No, it's good content.
It's looking pretty good though. I'm excited to play it. The first DLC was great, so I'm sure this one will
There's
be
a
too.
skin, and it's like Kid Invoker. I'm sorry, I'm pushing the Dota a little bit too far.
I haven't watched the Archetype trailer yet. I forgot.
Oh man, guys, I forgot to put in my. I had a Magic the Gathering segment I need to talk about.
Anyway, you know
honestly-
what it's time for, boys?
Truly, though, in replacement.
It's time for some WHYBPL.
WHYBPL.
WHYBPL. We have no group games this week because I don't think anybody's been playing, or not like a large group of us not been playing anything. So we're gonna start with Chad.
Yeah,
Big surprise! What's on your list?
guys, I've been playing
Porsche.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah. Jeez. How's
I
Rebirth?
mean, I feel like I've already gone into detail multiple times on this game, but I was sitting downstairs today playing the game, and I was like envisioning having this conversation and like exploring the thought process of the side content and like, is it worth it to play? The game is built where it's just like thousands of mini games. Like there's so many mini games. They're all really fun and really cool, but like you don't need to play them, and you can skip all. Just keep going through the story and be completely fine. Honestly, I think if I played this game again, or if I had more knowledge about the game and I went into it, I would probably only do the green side quests and the blue quests, which is the main story, and skip all of like the orange stuff. Just that stuff, just don't need it until like I get through some of the zone and I go back for it. Because currently what I've been doing is crushing literally everything. I'm like, this game possibly can't be that big, right? Crushing everything, kind of burning myself out, getting to the main story, and being like, oh wow, there's more of this game to play. I've already crushed 3 zones, and I was like, all right, cool, bet. Like, this seems like it's kind of concluding. I'm on chapter 9. Like, I'm about to get to that climax into like the, like this is just going to be story for the. Another zone opened up, and I'm like, oh my god. So, yeah, so that's been fun.
What's the difference between the green and the orange?
Okay, so orange is like you're just there's this character named Chadley who does a bunch of research, and it's all of the world intel. So it's like basically go over here, fight these 3 monsters, but you have to do like objectives with them. You have to like pressure them, stagger them, and also if they have like a certain ability, such as like, I don't know, they can freeze you. Don't get frozen before the end of the fight. That's like the trial that you have to do. Then there's something else where you have to go and like explore and do like a little mini game of like pressing a button. And so it's just like kind of monotonous. Like you don't really need to do it.
I love mini games of pressing a button.
It's just like, well, it's like a circle, and then it's like the buttons are on the circle, and then like the line starts going, but the buttons have disappeared, and you got to remember where they are. And so then you hit like, so anyways,
like the exercise stuff in Remake.
So stuff like that. The green side quests actually give you a little bit of story, like it kind of builds a side character, or there's like a relationship gauge inside this game. So like your companions actually have like they all like you, but then you can only go up from there. So
it's like a dating sim.
No, not. I mean,
just JRPG level.
Yeah. So it's just like some characters like you more than others. I don't know. So if you do the
like
green side
Yakuza
quest,
Persona.
Yakuza, Alex,
you
you're
do
gonna
the
say
green
right.
side and then the blue, obviously main story, they actually push you to the different zones and stuff like that. So, but yeah, unlocking all the materia has been fun. Just exploring different combos, and I pretty much have Alex's God set up like now, where I have like the magnify, where it like spreads a skill out to like everybody.
Stealing my strats.
Yeah, even further though, I have it's called auto weapon skill cast, so I don't even have to start with Aerith because she just like builds up her AP and then she automatically puts the ward below her feet.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's it's been cool. It's been fun.
Alex, I'm excited to get into your games here because of one particular thing that I see. But tell me, what are you playing?
Got into the Hades 2 technical test. Did nobody else get into the Hades 2 technical test?
No.
I wasn't sure like how lucky I was, or if it was like they were just giving it out to everybody. So
I mean,
I'm not pretty good, I guess.
I'm not a good statistic because I literally requested it like maybe an hour before the podcast.
Oh yeah,
I didn't request it.
Yeah. So I've played through the end of the content that they let you play, which is the first boss. You basically get to a point where you kill the first boss and they pop up this screen that's like, all right, that's all the content that's in the technical test. You can kill the boss 4 more times and then you're done with the technical test. So you get to kill the boss 5 times. So then they kick you out. Pretty interesting setup. Instead of going up and out of Hades, you're going down this time towards Tartarus, I guess, because the main enemy is Kronos.
That's cool.
And the general gameplay, your character feels like they're going way more towards like you're a caster now instead of like a melee person.
Brawler.
Yeah, brawler, I guess. You have a mana bar, and you'd still have the same standard actions, which is like attack, special, cast, and dodge. But the cast in Hades was like you throw out that red thing. It's basically your ranged attack. Basically, at least on the starting weapon that they give you, which is a staff, your special is basically kind of similar to that, where you shoot out this thing and it hits people. And that's like not limited. You can fire that as much as you want. And your cast puts like a big circle on the ground, and that will ensnare people. So that's like very different from the first game. And you, of course, get upgrades from gods that will add on effects to those things. It seems like they want you to be a bit more deliberate in combat in this game, because
it sounds like it would be a little slower.
Yeah, they have definitely slowed down the dodge. There's a noticeable like moment before you can dodge again.
Mm-hmm.
And they even talk about like when you dodge, you leave this trail behind, and then when the trail catches back up to you, you can dodge again. And kind of to balance that a bit, they've added sprinting. So if you dodge and continue holding the button, you sprint. And you can activate abilities off of sprinting the same way you could activate things off of dodging in the first game.
If you sprint, does it make your trail take longer to catch up to you?
I don't think so.
Okay. That would be an interesting trade-off.
I didn't test that specifically, but I don't think so. I didn't notice it. And just like all of your attacks seem like they have a lot of range, at least in the beginning with that first weapon again. So it like all your abilities, in addition to their standard action, have a long press version, which is a charged up and uses mana version of the ability. You start off just like with 50 mana, and you have no way to get mana back. But a lot of the things that you can pick up from gods will be different ways to get mana. So I had an ability from one of the gods that was like, if you stand in your cast, you can regain mana. So your cast is like a big circle. So you like put that on the ground, stand in it, make sure you're getting your mana back. There was one that was like, you have to stand still for a certain amount of time, and then you get a certain amount of mana. There's like different ways to go about that. And then your charged up abilities are like real big actions. So like your regular attack charged up is like a line attack that covers like the whole screen in both directions. Or your charged up special is like, instead of just like the normal little orb, it's like a big orb that explodes. And then your charged up cast is like, you can move slightly while charging it, and then it also like explodes people when it goes off instead of just snaring them. And then I guess technically your charged up dodge is sprint. I didn't even consider that until just now, but yeah.
Presumably that doesn't use mana though.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But yeah, it still feels similar, but it feels just a little bit more deliberate, a little bit slower. But I think that it's an interesting direction to make some changes from the first game.
I think I might like a little more deliberate. First game's so fast, man.
Yeah,
so fast.
For sure. Yeah, so in addition, I've also been playing Elden Ring. We've got
There we go.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Have you not finished it?
I've never finished it. No.
What the fuck? What?
Exactly.
It's so much.
It's a lot of video
like
games.
Three Dark Souls games in one.
It's all good though.
You've been playing Final Fantasy Rebirth.
I feel like Final Fantasy Rebirth is still less than Elden Ring.
I mean,
Maybe.
it's definitely less
Quite
than
a bit.
Elden Ring.
Mostly what I want to talk about this game is not really the game, because we've talked about that to death, but more so control stuff. I started having the right bumper in my Elite controller die because Microsoft is bad at making controllers that last. So one of the first things I did was like go into the Steam input menu and start messing with like, I'm just going to reassign it to a different button for right now until I can fix it. And that made me realize several things about Elden Ring. There's a bunch of community profiles in there for remapping things in that game because people don't really like the way the controls work.
Yeah.
And some of them are really cool. So there's like some elaborate layouts that people have done to get sprinting to be clicking the left stick. And it's really interesting the way they did it.
They're sprinting in Elden Ring?
This is news to me.
So normally you have to hold the dodge button down to get your sprint. And a side effect of that is another thing that people don't like. Your dodge has a very slight input delay because it doesn't activate when you press the button. It activates when you release it. because it's waiting to see if you're trying to sprint or if you're trying to dodge. So people have made controller profiles that hold the B button down on click the right stick in, and then as long as you're pointing in a direction, it's holding B, and as soon as you release the stick, it releases B. And then on the B button, they've mapped it to not just be a regular B press, but to be a release press. So as soon as you press it, it activates it as if it's a release of the button, so it instantly dodges. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Another thing in that game that I've always struggled with is every single time I open the map, I'm like, all right, cool, I got it. And I'm going to close the map, and I hit the map button again. And what does it do? It opens a menu for like map settings, because that's not how you close the map. You have to press B to close the map. You can't just hit the map button again, like in every other video game. So I was like, oh man, as long as I'm in here. I don't know. It's just, for me, whatever reason, I'm programmed to like hit the map button. All right, close the map. Hit the map button again to close it. And it's just like, it doesn't work. It confuses me every time.
Question about that then. On the computer, if M is your map button, you reach over, hit M, and then to close it, reach over, hit M.
Not on PC. It's different on PC for me.
Oh wow.
On PC, I'm constantly hitting escape. I get annoyed in games where escape doesn't work to close things and bring you back to like the main thing. If escape overrides things and brings up a menu for like exiting the game, I get frustrated because I'm like, no, I just want you to close the menu I have open. Anyway, so I figured out, I added on to the profile that I got for the sprinting and the B thing that for the select button, you can make it a cycle command instead of a regular command. So now every time I hit select, it changes between being a select button and being a B button. So I hit select and it sends select and it opens the menu, and then I hit select again and it sends B and closes the map, and it fixes that problem for me.
So if you accidentally close your map with B, next time you try to open your map, you just dodge.
You do dodge, yes. But I never do that because it's just so programmed.
That's so cool, because I've never really looked into the the Steam mapping profiles, and it's really neat to hear how like in depth you can get with that.
Yeah. Another cool one I did, because I was just into this stuff at this point, I started messing with like
not even playing the game at this point.
I know. I didn't get anywhere this day.
He was not actually playing Elden Ring, guys. He was just playing Steam Remapper.
So in between fixing my controller, I busted out the PS4 controller because Chad has my PS5 controller. So I busted out the PS4 controller, and that has a touchpad on it. And I was like, what can the touchpad do in Steam Input? Turns out it knows like where on the touchpad you're pressing. So you can assign different areas of the touchpads to do different things. So now I have a section of the touchpad that's like open and close the map, and it's cycling between select and B. And then the top right part of it is like the normal open your inventory and equipment stuff, like start. But then the bottom part of that is now mapped to a series of buttons which presses Y and then up on the D-pad, which just mounts you immediately. So you can mount without taking your finger off the left stick, which means you can mount while moving. Very cool. Also, if you hit that button again, it just demounts you immediately, so you can like
I can show you how to mount while moving in the normal way. You hold up, and then you play like this.
Heck yeah, dude.
You move your entire hand across the controller like that, like a claw.
You don't use a D-pad with this
No.
What do you mean?
Your left thumb is for the D-pad.
Like, boom.
I definitely use it with my right thumb when I play Elden Ring.
You have to also hold Y though to activate that, because it's on the item with your
finger.
And then if you're sprinting, you just go like this.
So your pointer finger is curling over the top of it. So that is how a lot of people play Souls games, is curling their finger over the top of the controller. It's ridiculous.
Speaking of that, you know how there's the finger and the finger item.
I am familiar with
the
finger. Yes.
the
furled finger.
The curl. Yeah, it's because of people playing like this.
It's good.
Of course.
That's crazy, man. You might ask, how do you crouch? Because that's normally the left stick click in.
I wasn't gonna, but sure.
That's been remapped to an action layer that activates when you hold down Y. So now if you can hold down Y, you can press in the left stick to crouch if you want to do that.
Let me just take a poll of the people who played Elden Ring. Anybody crouch in here?
I've crouched before.
Crouched a few times.
Yeah,
not really.
Crouch.
Not really.
Aaron's like, you can crouch in that game?
Yeah, I didn't even know. It's cool though. I should go back and play it again because now I know you can crouch.
Well, you'll get to play the DLC soon, so.
Yeah.
So I just mainly wanted to call out how much ridiculous functionality there are and is in Steam
Really
input
cool.
stuff.
It sounds like it definitely was easier than learning how to close the map. That sounds like it would have been really hard. So I'm glad you found a nice, easy workaround.
Well, this is
How
how
many
my brain
hours
works,
did you
I guess.
sink into not having to hit B to close the map?
Too many. Too many is the answer.
I mean, to be honest, there's a whole other thing that I didn't talk about, which is using back buttons on the controller. You can't map back buttons as individual inputs in Steam input because they're not supported. You can only use like the Xbox software to like remap them to buttons that already exist on the controller. So the solution is making the selects button a layer activation button and then having each of the back buttons map to something on the controller like the D-pad, so 1 2 up down left right, and then have the back buttons basically press select and then up, or like select and then down depending on which back button you're hitting, and then having those actions activate an action layer in Steam input that activates the action that you actually want it to do, like hitting Y and then up on the D-pad to mount.
Every
Or the
once in a while,
select
I
button.
wonder, why don't we have more listeners?
Vicious.
I don't
How
know
could
what it
they
is.
resist this thrilling content?
Oh man, that took hours. That was a whole thing. Anyway,
Like this
Hours.
conversation.
Hours.
I played Mini Shoot Adventures, and there's an apostrophe in there for some reason. It is one of the worst names for a video game.
What buttons did you remap for this one?
It's a freaking awesome game, though. I didn't remap any buttons.
What?
Why is that
Surprising.
an apostrophe?
This game is basically like if you took Zelda Link to the Past and then made it like a bullet hell dual stick shooter. So you got a little ship guy running around, and you shoot, and all these enemies shoot patterns at you, and you basically do the whole thing where you like go through 4 different dungeons across the map, and each dungeon will usually give you some sort of ability that will let you access different parts of the map and lead you to another dungeon and get you a new ability. And it's just very fun and delightful, and bosses are cool, and upgrade progression is satisfying.
I love the art style.
Yeah, art style's good.
It's like
Got some pretty banger music tracks in there. Lots of secrets to find. It's just a fun time. It's like 12 hours long-ish. I'm still playing it though because there's like some challenge stuff at the end of the game after you beat it. It's basically like it's like the boss rush things that you get at the end of Hollow Knight. It's like it's got that stuff at the end.
oh no.
So I'm trying
Is
to
it
get
as hard
through
as
this.
the Hollow Knight one?
There's no
One-
way it's as hard
Hey.
as that one.
Hollow
One
Knight
of-
spoilers.
One of the achievements is to finish all those challenges rooms, and then one of the other achievements is to finish all of them with at least 5 health remaining. So those are my last 2 achievements I'm trying to get. I don't know if I'll do it. It suddenly got very hard at the last one that I just got to.
Hmm.
You've got me thinking about buttons now.
Oh my
Because you're not
gosh.
doing anything.
Darn.
Do people hold their controller where their middle fingers are on the triggers, or do they have it like pointing
I have my
fingers on the triggers?
Middle
Index.
finger. Middle finger.
Just index.
And
I
then you
think
have
pointer.
your indexes on the bumpers?
I
do
will
both.
say I'm terrible in that I keep my indexes
Well-
on the triggers unless as soon as I need to press a bumper, I shift my index finger up to the bumper and then my middle finger shifts up to the trigger. But then
Oh, you shift
after
both of them.
I shift both, but then after I press the bumper, I move the whole hand back down
That's crazy.
That's weird.
to the
That's
resting position
crazy.
of being on the trigger.
I
That's
have only
psychotic,
used
then.
middle
it
finger
is.
on right trigger when I'm clawing. But if I am just playing normal, all 3 fingers, so middle, ring, and pinky are holding, what are these called? The handles? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a complex word. The technical
I just
term.
can't,
That's
it just
crazy.
feels
Handle.
weird.
You have 4
Yeah.
fingers up there the whole time? Is that what you're saying, Aaron?
It just feels weird.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think it depends on the game, but yes, there are games where I play with all 4 fingers.
Wow. That seems weird.
Play bad video
Mhm.
games.
I am very bad at video games. I'll go next. Only been playing 2 things. I picked up Beat Slayer after we went to PAX. Been really enjoying this game. It is just a roguelite hack and slash game where you're kind of traversing to find your brother. It is
Right here.
Hey, found you.
Done.
You basically have
Start
a
game.
couple.
Beat the game.
You basically have a couple abilities. You have a dash. You have a regular like slash, like an attack. You have a kick. You can kick people into the wall and stun them. I say people; they're all just like robots essentially. Kick them into a wall and you stun them. And then you have an ult, which is you start the game with a fiery axe and you just kind of hit it on the ground and it creates this like sort of shatter effect. And that does some pretty big AoE damage and a stun as well. And then the whole game is just like you go from area to area, trying to work your way to 4 independent bosses, ultimately to get to the main boss, the guy who's playing really, really bad music to the entire place that you're in, with the exception of you, who are currently wearing headphones and sort of following along to the beat. I'm trying to remember what the name of it's so hard to remember that stupid name. You go into this after 20 hits or 20 things you do consecutively on beat. You go into this special mode where you do more damage and you dash faster and you like your combos are more effective. I think what it's called. It's such a weird word.
Flow or something.
Flow state.
No, I mean I feel like it's like a German word. I meant to look this up.
Flow.
There's a German word
Yeah,
for
you got
everything.
That's it. Sure.
Beat Slayer 20. I don't know
I think
what it's
Alex
called.
might be choking.
What you sipping
Anyway. It's a really cool game. It's a short game. It's only like, I want to say about 4 or 5 hours to beat the whole thing, but it's fun. You can kind of change the ability types that your axe is doing. You can go electric, fire. There's like an acid one as well. You can also swap the 2 different weapons. One of them's like a ranged saw blade that you throw. The other one's a hammer that has 2 attacks. There's a down attack and then there's a lift attack because the hammer gets stuck in the ground. Very strange to play with in a beat-based game, but I don't know. It's an enjoyable game. And the song, while I will say it is a little repetitive because they basically only have one song that changes and sort of ramps up throughout the run, it's still a good song. It still slaps. I suck at playing beat-based games, though. Still certain of that. So
Now, how are you holding your controller?
that's probably the issue.
Is it like this?
You gotta
Yeah, it's
sync
like-
up. Listen, the secret for beat-based games is you gotta sync up your Guitar Hero controller and play with that.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, that's a good idea. Maybe I should do that.
Dance mat only.
Dance mat only.
Donkey
The
Kong
other
bongos.
game I've been playing a lot of is Miasma Chronicles. It is the sequel. It's not the sequel. It is the subsequent or the follow-up game from Bearded Ladies, which is a developer studio that did Mutant Year Zero, which I really, really loved.
Mm-hmm.
This game is like a post-apocalyptic, very strange post-apocalyptic tactical turn-based combat game. It, for
It's
some
like
reason...
Year Zero.
Yeah, it's just like Mutant Year Zero. The weirdest part about this game is like when you come from something like Baldur's Gate, where you can zoom in and out, pan the camera, change angle, all that.
Mm-hmm.
That does not exist in this game. You are stuck at a frame, a certain height. You can turn the camera, but that is it. Like there is not much you can do. It is really designed, I think, to play on a controller. As weird as that sounds. But the story is pretty cool. I love Mutant Year Zero, so I like this game a lot. There is also you kind of have like ability trees that you can utilize with your characters. And the main character, Elvis, he also has a glove that utilizes electricity to use some like really powerful abilities, but you're very, very limited. You have to find batteries between combat essentially to be able to use them ever again.
Oh.
Yep. And then on top of that, you also have this whole like weapons system where you can swap out weapons, change weapons, you add attachments to them like scopes or silencers or any number of things to kind of modify the way you approach encounters. It still has the Mutant Year Zero thing where you can sneak around and basically stealth kill enemies as long as they are not within range of the AoE of other enemies. They won't notice you killing them, so you can almost take out entire rooms without anybody ever going into turn-based combat at all. But anyway, game's really cool. I've been really enjoying it. It came out last year. I think it's got like a 70% or something on Metacritic. So, it's not like super high, but it's right up my alley for that game type. I am having a lot of fun with it.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
It's been on my wish list for a while. I never picked it up.
It was on sale for like $16. So
Oh,
I
really?
picked it up. Yeah.
Dang.
On to Ben. What have you been playing?
Oh, so I've been combination of a couple new things, a couple old things. I finally tried Neon White, like I mentioned earlier. What I'll say about Neon White, since everybody I think has at some point talked about it already, really good, like it a lot. I think picking it up significantly after every other one of your friends has been playing it for quite a while. Little bit depressing because I played through levels a couple times and I'm like, man, I feel like I did really good.
Oh, no.
I got the highest tier trophy. Let me just check the leaderboards and I'm still significantly slower than everybody else I know.
How they looking? How's the leaderboards looking?
Who's
on there?
Listen, I'm going to be honest. I don't mean to throw shade here, but my goal is no longer to get like high on the leaderboard. My goal is just to beat Caleb every level because he is usually the bottom of the leaderboard for everybody else.
It won't be very long until you hit where I am no longer on the leaderboard because I didn't play too much of that game.
Yeah.
I think if it's Owen and I that's on top.
I will say, yeah, some of these, I think it's Chad who I look at and I'm like, how the fuck did you finish this level at that speed?
So a bunch of them I did first blind, and then after a while of me trying to like, okay, I want to get high on the leaderboard, you have to look up a YouTube video because it's like,
yeah,
it's the pin perfect like execute, and then you just have to execute it after that. So
I haven't done any of that yet. Right now, it's been mostly I do a level, and I usually finish in I think gold, which is the second best. I want to say I finish that. And then it gives you like you can run it again and it gives you like the little like pop-up hint of like, oh, here's where you can go to like speed it up. And I'm like, oh, okay. I think I had like one level where I figured out the shortcut on my first run and I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Nice.
Felt good. It is interesting. So the reason I finally tried it out is because Jake suggested I do it again after I played a game at PAX called Hell of an Office.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys have heard of this at all, but it's a similar vibe of like really fast, like running through levels and trying to like get over obstacles and timing. Except for it's based on like it's weird. You're in hell. You have a stapler and like you can like click the stapler to shoot explosive staples, which then allow you to basically rocket jump over things. There's a couple more to it too, but it's interesting. The Neon White actually feels slightly slower paced than the Hell of an Office game that I tried at PAX, but there's more complexity to it. Like Hell of an Office is pretty much just you're trying to get to the end of the level, like, and you do that via running, rocket jumping, double jumping. There's a dash also, and you just have to chain together those jumps and dashes. Versus Neon White, you've got enemies you have to attack. And then there's other bits like where like you run faster when you're on the water, and things like that. Like it's a little slower paced, but it's a bit more complex. So I haven't gotten too far in that one yet, but I've been enjoying it so far. Other one I started playing was Portal Revolution. I think Alex said he played that. I don't know if other people have done that or not yet.
Aaron and Caleb.
Hello? Aaron is the one who told everybody about it.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, though, Ben. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, this is us, Ben. We're always at odds with each other.
Sorry, Aaron.
He probably wasn't.
Okay.
I probably missed that
Drama.
podcast. I don't know.
Drama.
Well, I'm going to say it again. I thought Alex was the one who said this. I think he was the most recent one to play it. Maybe that's why I'm remembering. But
That is accurate.
I think he's the one who said it feels like Portal but harder, and I definitely agree with that. Like I went into it being like, oh man, it's a Portal game, it's gonna be fun, let me figure this out. Literally by like the third or the fourth level, I'm like, why are still in the tutorial? How do I'm like running around back and forth, like, how do I get over here? What's happening? Like, and it's not even like they're implementing like new stuff. Like it's the same mechanics as Portal. It's just being done in. It's so weird because after I finished the level, I look back and I'm like, this wasn't like more complex than a normal Portal level. It didn't feel like it was. Why was it so hard to figure out as I'm going through?
Was
I
it
feel
early
like-
levels where they only give you the one portal too? It's like
I
man,
haven't even
how do I do
gotten to
this
the
with one
second portal yet. Like, and
Those
literally, I think I spent like 20 minutes on a level the other, like 2 nights ago, and I was like, I can't. I'm going to bed. Like, I can't figure out what the hell I'm doing.
I think the blue portal gun levels are actually a testament to their ability to design a puzzle. Because when you add more mechanics, you can do so many different things to manipulate. But to build a puzzle where you only have one thing, that is hard.
I think that's
And
what
they
I
are-
realized because
they're
I
very
got
good.
through, and I so frequently I was like, man, this would be so like I totally know how I do this if I had a second portal. I'm like, I get it now, which actually had me start going, man, are they just not going to give me a second portal anytime just to keep the difficulty going? Because it's entertaining, but I want the second portal so bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's to the point that, like, when they finally give me that second portal, and it's going to feel so much better than getting the second portal in any of the previous games because it's so hard.
It is a lot longer that you go without the second one.
But it's very enjoyable. And also just very cool when they started introducing like the outdoors levels. Like very early on, they're like, "Oh, you're outside now. There's the sky and stuff." And I'm like, "That's not how Portal works. You don't get to go outside. What is this?" But very good. Other one, I'll skip over this one for right now because I think Jake and I could talk about it. Oh, Jake took it off his list. Never mind. I've been playing Balatro. I think,
talked about it last week.
that's why. I think a bunch of people
Like
play
on.
Balatro now. I mean, super good. Love it a lot. I've been playing on my Steam Deck.
Nice.
Because all of this after hours work that I've been doing leads me to just sit in a server. A lot of times involves me just sitting quietly in a server room waiting for somebody else to do something remotely. So I'm just like, just go play some Balatro.
Nice.
Shouldn't you be playing Hollow Knight?
Silksong is going to drop any day now. You have to be prepared.
Guys, he's not even playing Balatro. He's sitting there playing Kingdoms of Amalur. Let's be honest, what he's actually
true.
playing.
Well, okay. All right. Last night I was playing Kingdoms of Amalur, but that's
Oh my god.
but usually it's Balatro.
There it is.
And lastly, I have been playing. I picked up the early access for a game, another game I saw at PAX. Sorry, you get the PAX experience because I wasn't on the last podcast, which is called Pioneers of Pagonia, which
Am I talking
is
Porsche?
no, it is it's a city builder. So city builder based on like you show up in this new land on like a ship with a bunch of your people and are building your town and city. The gimmick to it is co-op, but unlike the other co-op city builder I mentioned before, this one you are both building the same city, which is a little awkward. I mean,
co-op.
yeah. So like the other one I talked about, which I can't remember if I talked about it on the cast or I just told Aaron about it, but it's a city builder where you each have your own city you're building in the map. Like it's more Civ style. Like you each have your own Civ and you're building your own cities. This one is you're in the same nation and you're co-op building, but it requires a lot of communication. Like city builders, I'm realizing after playing this, they don't lend themselves to that sort of play style. Because when you're building a city, you're planning it all out, and adding a second person just complicates things. And then it becomes like, well, who's building what? And it's like, well, I guess I'll do this stuff over here and work on the. It felt a little awkward.
It reminds me of like Factorio
I was gonna say the same thing.
or Satisfactory, like one of those.
Satisfactory, yep.
Or like I'd set something up and then Aaron would be like, "Why would you do it like this?
Dude.
Go over there and do that. I'm gonna
I had to
rearrange all
basically-
this."
I had to stop playing Factorio. Or no, it was Satisfactory is the one I had to stop
Satisfactory.
playing. I was like,
Yeah.
man, what? No,
Well,
absolutely not.
The thing I'll say about having played both the Satisfactory and Factorio, at least with those games, you have like there's aspects of like, oh, well, like sometimes they're big maps and you're way over there. Like it takes you like 60 like 1 to 2 minutes to walk all the way over the other side, or like you're going and fighting stuff at the same time. One guy's fighting stuff while the other guy's building. Like there is multitasking that can be done. A city builder, there's no it's far away. It's just I'm just gonna boop, I'm over here now. Like it's just mouse speed,
Yeah.
you know? Like it's not there is no, at least with Factorio and Satisfactory, I can see advantages to having two people and playing on the one map. Like there's multitasking that can be done. There's multiple tasks that can be done at the same time. City builder, building in like adjusting things is so quick. Like there's no, I don't see any advantage to having the second person being
You need
there.
to make your
Like,
mouse speed like very slow.
Yeah, I'll just slow my mouse speed down.
No, that sounds
that being
awful.
That being said, the game's gorgeous. Like, really pretty graphics. Like, to the point you can zoom so far and see the individual people walking around, and like very detailed. It's an early access. It is kind of funny though. I feel like they had a very clear goal of what they wanted, and they missed some stuff on the way. Like, as an example, I was playing it at PAX, and I was playing the demo, and about like 15 minutes in of me playing, and I should also say at the top of the screen they have built in just like stats and stats and stats, so many numbers and statistics, like more than any other city builder I've ever played, which is great once you get used to it. But meanwhile, I'm 15 minutes in, I get an alert that's like, hey, your storage is full. And I'm like, okay, I'll build another storage building. I build another storage building, and then I'm like, okay, so how much am I going to need? Do I need to build more? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, how much can I store in this building? I'm clicking on it. I'm looking at all these stats. I'm clicking on the buildings. I'm looking at the menus. And I called somebody over, like one of the people running the booth. I was like, hey, listen, I might be dumb because this seems like a really basic thing. But like, so I ran out of storage space. How do I know how much space I have left? Like, so I can preemptively build storage. She went, huh. And she clicked through some menus and she was like, I don't think we have a way to tell that in the game yet. And I'm like, you have all these stats and I can't tell how much storage I have. That seems like a really basic stat to be in the game.
That's in the uncommonly used components of video games, which we never encounter. But...
Apparently, yeah. I was just like, so how do I know when I need to build more storage? And they're like, you wait until it alerts that your storage is full. And I'm like, that's a horrible
That's a bad
system.
mechanic. Yep.
So in summary, it seems like I really like where it's going. I think it definitely is early access and needs some more time to work out the kinks. And I don't know that I like the whole co-op single city concept. Like, it is a city builder that has literally other AI nations in the game. Like, that's already in it. Like, just let the other player do a different nation. Like, that's immediately better. I feel like that's an easy change.
I feel like they would need a certain amount of level of detail. Like, what are those games? Like the zoo game where you can like
Zootopia. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Planet
Zoo,
Coaster.
like Planet Zoo or Planet Coaster, where you can like individually decorate a building with like a specific design that you make, like that kind of level of detail where you're like, all right, I'm gonna go make this building now. You can go do something else.
Yeah, like and it's not like, I'm not saying it's a simple city builder, but even if you hand me like City Skylines, like I can't really imagine playing City Skylines co-op on the same city either. Like, that just it doesn't
Time to lay out our streets
in my
together.
brain, it doesn't lend itself to a co-op experience in that way. I don't think you can really, there's too much planning and too much you're kind of thinking through in your head of what you need to do, and it's just complicated. Like, even Liz and I were playing it, and even then I just started building stuff, and she was just like, what? No, I thought I was doing that. And I'm like, oh, I guess I just saw we needed it. And like, she'd build stuff and I was like, oh, okay, I guess you gotta communicate a lot, and it feels like a lot of work for no benefit. So I'll recap in a year when hopefully they fixed a lot of the kinks.
Up next. By the way, the word that I was trying to come up with earlier for Beat Slayer is Tanzrak.
I can't believe you forgot that.
Yeah, let's see what, I don't know what it'll say if anybody has text to speech on, but that's how it's spelled.
What horrible person would have left that on?
I don't know.
Tanzrausch.
Tanzrausch?
That's what I'd say.
I don't know. Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, Caleb, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing more Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah. Woo, Persona.
Yeah. Really good game. I think I just beat the final boss of what was the original Persona 5, I believe. Pretty sure.
Was it God?
Yeah.
Okay, then that was the boss of the original.
Yeah.
Great.
That game goes a little off the rails at the end there, but in a good way. Very much a good way.
Really fucking fast.
Really fast.
It's
fast.
like, okay, you got revenge on the man who wronged you in the past. Okay, time to go kill God.
Yep.
It's like, wait, what?
Some with JRPGs and killing God.
Seriously.
You
all
gotta
of them,
do
man.
it. It's a law, I think, in Japan.
Screw that guy. He sucks.
But yeah, I'm still having a blast with it. I'm excited for the royal stuff coming up.
Man, I wondered if they would move back the killing God part, because what do you do next? What's the next part?
That is interesting. Where do you go from there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, based on books I've read, you go to every other dimension and kill their gods.
Maybe that's what they do. I don't know. I've also been playing Snobby at the suggestion of Alex and Aaron. Maybe not in that order. It's really good. It's a blast to fly around with your little hook arm, grabbing onto stuff, massacring enemies. The story is really interesting so far. It does a whole lot of flashbacks, but they're all quite enjoyable experiences.
There's just so much story.
There's
it's
a
like
lot of
half
story.
You just watching. It's just half visual novel. It's just half you reading dialogue.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it. Yeah. But it's really good. Characters are great. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I occasionally get frustrated by the chain arm mechanics and where it decides to link on to things while I'm going, but only occasionally.
Yeah, it can be a little finicky. It doesn't feel like as tight as you would want it to be, like where it's like super precision on chain placement, but it still feels really good.
Yeah.
There's like settings for auto aim stuff that you can tweak.
Are there? Okay.
And if you go into the settings, you can make it so left bumper changes to right bumper, and then if you hold it, it'll switch to select.
Yeah.
I will say there is like the slow down aim, but I basically never use that because it slows it down too much.
Does it even tell you about it in the tutorial? Because I feel like I've discovered that on accident.
It does.
Man.
I don't use it.
I never used it for like the whole game.
It just the flow of combat's so nice already. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Don't want to mess it up.
And with the music, like the way, like the soundtrack is kind of bumping in the background too, so you kind of want to be flying around. I feel like when you slow it down, it just feels weird. Good game though.
Yeah, really fun.
Last but not least, got Jake, the guy who didn't guess the game in VGig that he actually has on WHYBPL.
Before I talk about that, just as like a funny aside, I'm at the level in Persona 5 right before you kill God, and it's of course the cruise ship level. It's just funny that those are back to back. I don't know. That brings me joy. I love that.
That is weird.
You blew your lead?
Yeah, I know. I only had like a 50-hour lead. Caleb literally called in sick to work so that way he could catch up to me. Fucking madman. I'm like talking to him, he's like, yeah, no, I think I'm at like the cruise ship. I'm like, oh my god. I had like so disappointed in myself.
After I got back from vacation, I played a lot of that game really fast.
Yeah, I went to work, rookie mistake.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Should have known better. I don't know. But the main, I've been playing just kind of a lot of different things. The only one I've put enough time in to really talk about is The Messenger. Which it's not new at all. It's been on my to-play list for like ages.
It's a Devolver Digital game, right?
It is a Devolver Digital
game. Got like
an
86 on Metacritic or something like that?
Yeah, roundabout.
Maybe higher. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. It's a really good game though. It's
the first scrolls in it, does it?
No, well, of course not. No. You're thinking of the Massager, which is different. But no, it's like the first part is like a Ninja Gaiden-esque game. Which I think is probably why, because I played this back when it came out and I kind of fell off it because that's not usually my style of game.
Same.
But I stuck with it more this time. I find the world and characters really interesting. It's interesting's not the right word. Funny is probably the right word. It's very charming. There's a shopkeep you keep running into, and he's just really funny. There's like a closet, and if you go and you try to get in the closet, he'll yell at you, and if you keep doing it, he has a shit ton of unique lines for it. And there's this really great part where you go into the shop one time and he's gone for like a story reason, and if you go up to the closet, he bursts in and is like, yo, no, did you think that would work? You can't touch the closet. And if you keep touching it, he has a different set of dialogue. And he tries to like fake you out. He's like, okay, it's gonna start looping now. So like, I hope you're ready. And then he repeats like 2 lines, and then he's like, damn, I thought you would fall for that. Like, there's no way. It's really charming.
Is that also the part where if you keep trying to use the closet for too long, he warns you that he's going to tell you a really long, boring story, and then he does that.
he does that both times.
Yeah. Okay.
He says, listen, if you click on it one more time, I'm going to tell a long story and I'm going to remove your ability to skip dialogue. So you're going to have to sit through all of it. And then he does. It's really, it's a very fun, funny game.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it, but there is a really cool twist that happens not too far in, maybe like 3 hours in.
Is it when you find out what's in the closet?
It's not that, because I thought that was where we were going with the closet bit, but no. Something else really cool happens that completely changes the way the game works. I've just hit that part,
Nice.
so I can't really speak to that too much, but I'm really excited to keep playing it.
I learned that secret while I was making clues for VGig.
Oh no.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
No.
And it's been
Yeah.
out for quite a while.
It seems like it's pretty core to the game.
Yeah.
Like,
It's,
from that point on.
I believe it's in the trailer, because right before this thing
Oh, really?
happens, one of the characters is like, ooh, something's gonna happen. It's like, I mean, if you've seen the trailer, like, you know.
Yeah.
No, I think it's like it's like, ooh, this is the end of the game. This must be the final boss. It's like, well, I mean, unless you've watched the trailer, in which case you know it's not. So I don't think it's so much a twist
Yeah.
as it is like a core part of the game, but it's really cool.
Okay, before we hop off here, Chad, I think you had one more comment about Fallout that you wanted
Yeah,
to...
I missed a couple things actually with
Oh, a
Fallout.
couple.
A couple.
Oh.
One was I don't think we talked about this, but next Thursday, Fallout 4 is coming out with upgrades for next gen consoles and PC. Free. So it's just like just upgrades and stuff like that, a little bit more content, etc. With that, Fallout 4 sales have received a massive 7,500% spike in Europe thanks to the TV show. And that is, I believe, only with looking at the previous week of sales.
Yeah, okay.
So,
That makes
like,
sense.
it's kind of misleading, but still, like, that's a big number.
Man, somebody's gotta go over there and tell them to buy a different Fallout game.
I bet one person bought it last week.
Like Fallout 76.
Wow.
700
Fallout
some odd.
76.
This one makes me chuckle because of how it's phrased. But with season 2 being kind of in the works and announced or whatever, Jonathan Nolan says that Aaron Paul probably wants to be in the Fallout series. I don't know what that means.
What?
Is he
Like-
is he like a fan?
So Aaron Paul supposedly is a fan of Fallout, and I guess Jonathan Nolan and him are friends.
No,
So-
see, I like to imagine somebody asked him, was like, hey, do you think Aaron Paul would like to be in this series? And he was just like, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
probably. Like,
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but Matthew Perry is one of the main antagonists in Fallout New Vegas. For the same
Oh.
reason, he was a big fan of Fallout 3,
Oh.
and so when they were making New Vegas, they were like, "Hey, do you want to like do a voice?" And he was like, "Yeah."
That's cool.
So
That's
he's
awesome.
Benny.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's Benny?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I didn't know that.
Sick.
Did we mention, I mean, this may have been talked about while I was looking this up, but did we mention that Fallout 76 is free?
Is it?
Like permanently?
It's free for Amazon Prime members.
Oh.
You can go get it right now until May 24th. For
I think
free.
I'm canceling my Amazon Prime for this
Yeah,
week.
it's not worth it.
I will say there has been a major resurgence in Fallout 76 players. I have seen so many TikToks where people were like, honestly, best time to play Fallout 76 right now. The game is excellent at the moment. Like,
Where's Owen?
Yeah, really.
no satire at all. They're not being sarcastic, nothing. It is just like they're purely, I love Fallout 76 right now. Weird.
Pretty sure it was in a Humble Bundle forever ago.
Yeah,
I
it was on
specifically never
Steam,
told
so
Owen about it.
Must have been.
I
Yeah.
don't own it.
Yeah.
This is being published, Alex. Why would you say something like this?
Owen won't
Now
listen.
we're just
There's
gonna
no
be
way.
like, oh, Extra Life? Oh, maybe Fallout 76, guys.
Maybe.
Could be.
To go along with those Fallout updates, apparently there was like this really big mod that was supposed to come out, Fallout London.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
full total conversion, a brand new
Oh,
map
yeah.
the size
Oh.
of like Fallout 4. And they updated the game and broke all the mods, and they had to indefinitely delay their release.
No.
They were
It's
really
got
mad
like a
about
full
that.
campaign. It's got like who voices Asterion? He has like a voice in it.
Wow. That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, it's like a big deal. And then they're like, "Oh, well, we have to assess like how broken this really is and see if we can get it out sometime.
Well, the other thing, the reason they're mad is because this update that they released for Fallout that broke everything was supposed to come out like a while ago, and it kept getting delayed. So like Fallout London knew this was going to be a thing for a while, and they were like, "We'll have time. Like you'll release it on time, and then we'll be able to adjust for all the things that'll break." And then they announced the release date for the update, and the update's release date was like the day before London was going to release.
So
and they were just like, "Well, no, you're just going to break everything, so we're not releasing on that day."
Cool. Well, I think that's it for us. I don't have a witch camp for this week unless somebody has a witch camp, but you know, somebody should take over witch camp. Start doing witch camp. I think that'd be fun. But anyway, we'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll play more games.
When you said witch camp, Ben, did you think he was saying WITCH camp, as in like something magical?
That is, in fact, what I thought he meant. Yes.
Yeah, no. WHICH.
You got to say which.
Sorry. Witch camp? Saying what way? Whiskey. Anyway, join us back in 2 weeks. We'll play some more games. We'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing in our lives. Sure. So much fun. So much. Everybody enjoys them so much. You guys love your lives, right? You guys are having good lives? Good lives?
Okay.
I sat in a car for 5 hours going down to see the eclipse and then 5 hours back. It's great.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah.
Great
Was
stuff.
it worth it?
Was it cloudy?
It was really cool. I'm going to
Eclipse is
say,
crazy.
like, it was only like 4 minutes of eclipse, but man,
4 minutes is a long time.
it was cool.
Nobody cares about your good life, Chad. Shut up.
All right, on that note, we'll catch you next time. See ya.